Alright, today on Lean-To Customs, we're going to be looking at my new project. It's an 81 El Camino that I just picked up. It's got a blue hood, not sure why. Body is like a yellow primer. No rust on it that I have found so far, but I'm getting ready to take it in the shop and put it up on the lift. See what it looks like underneath. It's got what is supposed to be a 350 in it out of a 1-ton truck. So if I can get to the numbers on it, I'll pull the numbers off and check those and see what it is. Not quite sure what I'm doing yet with this. I was going to pull the motor out of something else that I've got and put in here, but we will see. But once I get it up in the shop, we'll see what it looks like. Got it up on the lift. Didn't really want to start after sitting. The carburetor's really no good on this. It's an old Quadrajet. Start from the back, I guess. So it's got a 10-bolt rear end, not a posi, which I didn't figure it was, but it does have some air shocks. I doubt that they hold air anymore, but I'll try airing them up just for fun. The lines come out over here under the gas door up there. So everything looks kind of crusty back here, but nothing's in too bad a shape. It's got newer dual exhaust on it, which is kind of cool. Real quiet mufflers. Looks like the pinion might be leaking a little bit. The floors look pretty good except for right here. There's a couple little spots in this floor, so I'll probably sand that down and fix it up because I don't want it to get any worse. But other than that, the floors all look pretty good. I'll probably end up painting the whole floor like I did on the Bel Air. Clean this up a little bit and put some of that rust paint on there. The transmission is not out of a 1-ton truck. I don't know if the motor is or not, but I believe, you may correct me on that, but I believe that is a 200 4R, I think, because it has, I don't know if you can see up there, it has a dual bolt patterns on it. So it's, I believe it's a 200 4R. It looks like the one that we had in our Volvo, but I haven't got to the motor yet to look at the numbers on it. But it looks like it might have a new starter. And that's about all I've seen so far. Okay, back down on the ground. I did get a picture of the numbers on the block, and I ran them, and it shows up as either a 302, 327, or 350 from 68 to 80 on the 350, and that's what I'm going to guess it is, because I doubt this is a 327 or a 302. So I found the reason it probably isn't starting very well is probably because it's out of gas. The gas tank sounds completely empty. So I'm going to go get some gas and put in it, just so it'll be easier to move it around. But yeah, that's it so far. Someone had some carpet in the bed. It looks like they were real fancy. Had some house carpet glued down inside. So next step will be to get the seat out and see why it won't slide back, because it's stuck on the passenger side and won't move. Alright, it's running. It's idling a little bit fast, but not worried about that. Sounds alright. I put 5 gallons of gas in it because the tank was pretty much empty, and what's in there smells like it's about 20 years old. So let it run for a minute and see if it smooths out any, because it's popping a little bit. I also noticed this has a computer controlled Quadrajet on it. It's got the 2 little plugs up there on the front, and this car I don't believe was new enough to have used that, because it's an 81. But the motor sounds good, And if you trust the gauges, which I do because they start at 0 and go up, it's got a little over 30 pounds oil pressure, alternator's charging, gas gauge does not work, but the temp gauge I believe does also, because once it comes up the heater gets hot. So alright, I took the seat out of the car. It's sitting back here, trying to figure out why it wouldn't move back and forth. From what I could figure out, this little wire here had stretched or something, so I tightened it back up, and now when you pull this lever it actuates both sides, and this side here, this little piece was bent, so I hammered it back down to where it went in the hole so it'll actually lock in. And now the seat is probably ready to go back, but I figured since I had the seat out, I went ahead and took the little trim pieces here and the seat belts out. I'm going to pull this carpet out and pressure wash it just to try to get it a little bit cleaner. And yeah, so also found the factory computer hidden in this nice little pocket. Don't really use that anymore, but there it is. Okay, got the carpet out. Here's the worst part on the floor, which is what I saw from the bottom. It's got some little holes over there, so we'll get that taken care of. And any of this other stuff that's starting to rust, I'll just scuff it down and put some rust treatment on there. I got the carpet sitting outside. I'm gonna get the pressure washer out and clean it off and let it sit out for a day or two and let it dry, because this part here was actually still wet. So I'm assuming this window rubber here is leaking, letting water come in. So we'll get the carpet cleaned up and then get this up here in here cleaned out also. Okay, got the floor patched up. I was gonna just find something to cover the holes with, but then I decided to just make some little patch of plates and weld them in. They're not perfect, but they'll work all right. I'm gonna seam seal around them once this paint dries, and then the carpet will be ready to go back in. Got the carpet back in. It doesn't look much better, but at least I think it's cleaner. So next step will be to put the seat back in, which I've got the brackets fixed like I showed earlier, or somewhat fixed, so I'll be able to slide it back. So once I get some help, we'll throw this in there, and then it'll be back to where it was, minus a few holes in the floor. Been a few days, still got the old carburetor on it. That the accelerator pump does absolutely nothing, and I put a new fuel filter in it so it runs a little bit better. But I found this carburetor on Craigslist, so we're going to throw it on there. It's pretty clean. We're going to throw it on there and see how it does before I try to rebuild it. But we'll get this one pulled off, see what it looks like under there. Okay, got the carburetor off. Got the flange cleaned up. They had a bunch of silicone and stuff on there, so we got that cleaned off. Got another gasket. Here's the old one. Got this gasket, which was sitting on the shelf, which may or may not be better. Looks better, so we're going to use this one instead and get the carburetor bolted on. Okay, got the El Camino on the lift. About ready to take it down the road. Going to change the tires because these ones here are really dry rotted. And this one's got a big knot in it, which you can feel going around. So got one tire off. For now, I'm just going to throw the tires that used to be on the Bel Air on here, which are some S10 wheels I got up here. The tires are going to be way too tall, but they're in a lot better shape. Got the El Camino up in the air. You can see I got some new wheels for it. These are just some I found on Marketplace. 18 by 8.5, so they look pretty good. What I'm working on right now is the steering linkages on this. The center link is wore out on this joint right here, and for the price of it, I just went ahead and got all new inner and outer tie rod, center link, and idler arm. So I'm going to pull this bolt off, these two bolts that hold the idler arm on, and that bolt there on, and pull this all off as one unit, and then put it back together, put the new one together all as one, and try to measure it to make it pretty close to the same length. And try to get out of doing an alignment right away, because I'm going to need a new steering box also, because this one is just peeing fluid all over the place. So got this cotter pin out. Now I just got to get this cotter pin out and we'll be pretty much done. Okay, I got the steering off. Came off pretty easy, other than the 2 bolts that hold the idler arm on were kind of hard to get to. But I've got the new pieces laid out on the floor. Got our outer tie rods on this side, inner tie rods, adjuster sleeves, center link, and I went ahead and threw the idler arm on. Nothing's tight. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to measure each set of control arm, or each set of tie rods, and make these ones the same length and get them put back on. Alright, finishing up this video on the El Camino. It's taken apart again. I was getting ready to go home with the car, and suddenly the windows all got real foggy and the heater core went out, which I replaced it with a shiny new one. I'm going to come in here with the vacuum and get all this dirt out of here since I've got it opened up. The old heater core is over here on the bench. I think it's original. It's still brass or whatever, but it was leaking somewhere on this side. I don't really know where, but it got antifreeze all over my carpet. So this one's out of here. Getting ready to bolt the top of the heater box back on. I've never changed one of these before on a G body, but really not too bad once you figure out what all has to come off. So I'm gonna get this button back up, all this stuff going back on, and we'll be done with this episode or video of the El Camino. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Next video, we should have this thing out on the road cruising. Hopefully this motor doesn't give us any trouble. So thanks for watching.